Apple's crazy factory in China. If you look at the back of your iPhone, iPad, or any Apple product you have, you'll see assembled in China. Many people wonder why Apple has chosen to outsource all of its production overseas, specifically to China. Many believe Apple is just out to make tons of money, which is the sole reason for the relocation. But that's not the truth. But with a workforce rivaling that of many US cities, the factory has sprouted what residents have dubbed iPhone City. Factory workers live in dorms in 10 or 12-story buildings outside Foxconn's gate, while a migrating workforce of entrepreneurs and vendors set up shop below to make a living cooking street food, offering massages, or selling socks and other knickknacks. The Foxconn Zhengzhou Science Park is actually more than 20 miles outside downtown Zhengzhou, separated by freeways, suburbs, and dirt scrublands. Foxconn employees have different roles. Some work with pieces of aluminium to form the iPad's exterior design, along with the famous logo, creating 10,000 iPads each hour. Weir said he had heard horror stories that workers were 13 years old, but noted that most of them were in their late teens. Foxconn employs about 350,000 people and produces about half of the world's iPhones. In the busy summer months before the release of a new iPhone, the factory produces 500,000 phones a day, or up to 350 each minute. Workers can make 300,000 cameras for the device in just 2 shifts. Do you think the China workers are more productive than the American ones? Stay with us, and we'll entertain you with some mind-blowing facts. With 1.3 million employees in mainland China, Foxconn is by far the country's largest private employer. Since it began producing iPhones for Apple in 2007, Foxconn has faced accusations of labor abuses, poor working conditions, and harsh penalties for workers who make mistakes. There was a wave of suicides among Foxconn workers in 2010 and 2011. Prompting Apple and Foxconn to make changes at the factories. In addition to the manpower China offers, most of the raw materials used to make Apple products are also manufactured overseas. A lot of them are within a short distance of the final assembly plant. Shipping those components to any US-based factories would mean higher costs and potentially even experience manufacturing delays. In terms of traditional outsourcing and manufacturing, it also costs more to manufacture in America. This is because workers need to be paid more. There are also expenses on worker benefits, insurance, and higher taxes. Since companies want to generate revenue, added costs are inevitably transferred on the consumer in increased prices for goods. In simpler terms, this would mean that American manufactured Apple products would cost more. Spanning more than 2.2 miles and dozens of buildings, the business park looks like any other. Trees are everywhere, police and security guards stand at every street corner, and workers on break camp out in the shade. A decade ago, this area had only dirt and fields of corn and wheat. In 2010, the government bought out local farmers, and the factory was up and running within the year. The complex was built in 2010, almost exclusively to serve Apple's iPhone production needs. With 600 million in assistance from the provincial government, even now, the government provides Foxconn with tons of support, tax incentives, and subsidies to keep production in Zhengzhou. It paved new roads to the factory, built power plants, covers energy and transportation costs, and pays bonuses to the factory to meet export targets. During the first 2 years of production, those bonuses totaled 56 million. The government even helps recruit, train, and house workers for the factory during peak iPhone production periods. In the summer months, a speaker can be heard near the entrance saying, "We're recruiting the cream of society. Your personality must be optimistic, your work diligent." Foxconn's iPhone factory in Zhengzhou does final assembly, testing, and packaging, or FATP. That stage of manufacturing requires about 400 steps to assemble the iPhone. Most workers do one task repeatedly all day, such as polishing the screen, soldering one component, or fitting a single screw into the back of the phone. In 2016, state-owned coal companies lent workers to the factory, and last year, the Financial Times reported that trade schools were requiring students as young as 16 to work at the factory to gain work experience to graduate. In the run-up to the iPhone X launch, many students were found to be working overtime, which is illegal under Chinese law. One worker in charge of wiping a special polish onto the LCD screen told The Guardian that she handled 1,700 iPhones a day, or about 3 screens each minute for 12 hours a day. Others with jobs like fastening chipboards may take up to a minute per iPhone, completing about 600 to 700 a day. Workers on the day shift begin streaming in through the factory gates around 7 AM. Those who can afford it ride motor scooters, but most walk from the nearby dorms or take a bus if they live in the buildings farther away. Apple's decision to outsource its manufacturing to China is really about who can build the most number of Apple products within the shortest amount of time. This also meant that China is able to remain flexible and immediately adaptable to the needs of Apple. In a report, an Apple executive also stated that the US no longer has the people with the skills they need. One particular example will be the release of the iPhone. There's a huge demand for it, and Apple knew it needed to be finished as fast as possible. Apple was aware that it wasn't attainable in US manufacturing and would result in delays. With this, they saw that the service of Chinese factories, and they were able to quickly finish the tasks. This is because in China, manufacturers can ask a large number of engineers to work on the required manufacturing overnight. As they have an abundant supply of labor force, this allows them to finish a large capacity of workload very quickly. The US simply cannot employ 250,000 workers overnight. This makes China a flexible and capable supplier. How do you find the pros and cons of this factory? Let us know in the comment sections down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you really did, consider subscribing and pressing the bell icon. Turn on the notifications so you stay updated about the next uploads. Stay tuned. Bye.